Hey, fellow travelers, and welcome to gorgeous Grand Canyon National Park here in Arizona. I want to welcome you to this new edition of the ONETA Adventure Show, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, I'm your host, Evan Davies, and I'm going to be talking about some hikes and some cool points of interest and sightseeing you can do, along with some other travel records for you. So, get ready for your new adventure, get ready to plan, because you're going to have a wonderful time here in one of the most beautiful places in all the United States and the Earth, frankly. So, I'll see you on the trail. Peace. Howdy, howdy, folks. And as you saw in that intro, we are covering Grand Canyon National Park on this long awaited return to the ONETA Adventure Show. I'm going to give you some hikes, some high points, some points of interest, and a lot of cool reminders and things you can do on your travels to Grand Canyon National Park. But we're going to start by hitting the boots to the trail on the South Kaibab Trail. So here, you're going to see a lot of just some basic photos that I took along the way to showcase the South Kaibab Trail. It's a very, very cool Kaibab. It's kind of fun just to play around with the name. I believe it's Kaibab technically. But around Grand Canyon National Park, especially the South Rim, which is where the vast majority of the visitors are going to be, it's where you're most likely going to end up if you go to Grand Canyon National Park. The thing you're always going to want to think about is South Rim is it's very friendly to visit. But when you get to hikes, there are 2 or 3 premier hikes. South Kaibab is the hike, especially if you're not going to go all the way down to the river, which 99% of people do not, and it's for good reason. It's extremely difficult. It was because we bundled this park with a couple other parks and we were with friends. We didn't go all the way down into the river and into the canyon, but we went a good ways into the canyon on the South Kaibab Trail. Ironically enough, as I always recommend on these shows, go to all trails to plan your hikes for yourself. Make sure you're good. So on the South Kaibab Trail, the one hike that we did, we started to go to Skeleton Point. That was the goal, was Skeleton Point. However, we were evaluating, the heat was rising, the elevation gain is real, because you got to remember, it's a reverse hike for most people. You're going down into a canyon, and then after you've already done half of it, you have to go back. So the elevation gain is super real. So this is the best point to start to really just get to go where you want to, basically. And it's one trail, it's extremely easy to follow. However, Skeleton Point, as you can see, is almost 6 miles in, and with the heat rising and the elevation gain you have to do on the way back, most people bail before Skeleton Point for good reason. A lot of people go to the basic and they go to Point, which is only 1.8 miles. It's about a mile down, and then you have to go back up. 685 feet of elevation gain. It's still worth a moderate rating, although it's a lot easier from Point than it is Cedar Ridge, which is another facet. I'll show you that one as well. But Cedar Ridge is about 3.1 miles. That's about where my party ended, simply because we were looking at what we wanted to do the rest of the day. We had already hiked Angel's Landing a couple days beforehand in Zion National Park. We did a lot of good hikes in Bryce as well, in Bryce Canyon National Park. So you've got to understand what you're doing and why you want to do it. But here's the difference. I'll show you the difference between Point and Cedar Ridge. So when you go on the South Kaibab Trail, like I said, Point's going to be your first major point. This is footage from where Point, generally speaking, is. You can see that the trail continues to meander down. I want you to keep a good idea on that center point rock that we just passed in this footage. But this gives you a really good viewpoint of what the canyon's going to look like all around you. It's absolutely breathtaking and wonderful. That was Point. Now, this is where Cedar Ridge pretty much takes over, and you can see how much closer we're getting to that center point rock, which is near Skeleton Point. It's an extremely worthwhile hike for anyone to take. I highly recommend it because it's going to give you a really good experience down to the canyon, back with breathtaking viewpoints that you can't get just from the top of the canyon. But Cedar Ridge is kind of the point of no return for diminishing returns, frankly, if you're really thinking about what can be done on this trail. Now, like I said, I adore this hike. and I did really, really well on this hike. There were members of my party, not as much, but it's extremely tiring. But it's extremely rewarding. But again, Cedar Ridge is about a mile and a half into the 3 miles of Skeleton Point. Ironically enough, the best marker for it is an outhouse or a bathroom section. That's pretty much where Cedar Ridge is, which is very ironic to have on a trail. However, again, it's a point of diminishing return. The more and more you go down into the canyon, there's only so much until you get deep, deep into the canyon that you're going to get wildly different viewpoints along the hike. Now, if you got all the way to Skeleton Point, you definitely get to see a different thing than you would Cedar Ridge. But it's not going to be so wildly different than if you stopped at Cedar Ridge or if you were going to stop at Ooh Point. Cedar Ridge is really the cutoff between great view and good return on hike or exhaustion with good return on hike. You're still going to most likely be exhausted because the heat continues to rise throughout the day, and the lower you get into the canyon, the hotter it becomes. Plus, then have the out and back feature where you have to go back up all those stairs that you came down on the trail. So please remember that as you go to the Sivkabite Trail. But it's again a wonderful and enjoyable hike, as you could see from the photos that I showed you here. Look at that viewpoint. I made sure to get some of that old tree in there to make sure you get a really good reference point of how vast, how grand, truly grand the canyon is, and it lives up to its namesake, and it's really, really enjoyable. Fun. I always like to give a little reference points in there, which is why I have. But look at that viewpoint. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, the second hike I'd love to recommend for you, and it's extremely friendly to any kind of hiker, is the Rim Trail. What's cool about the Rim Trail is it's going to be, the Rim Trail is about 13 miles long, but it's all paved. It's, generally speaking, the vast majority of it is paved. It's very friendly. The Rim Trail is going to be your best return on investment for the least amount of work possible. So here's some footage from the Rim Trail. You can also start your mule rides down there, but you're going to see, up there I should say, but you're going to see a lot of cool viewpoints on the Rim Trail that are going to give you these beautiful, beautiful high-end points throughout. And it's just absolutely breathtaking and gorgeous to see that along the trail. Little technical malfunctions, but that's okay. We're going to be fine. Now, as we go, here's some footage from the Rim Trail that I really wanted to show you guys. It's a breathtaking viewpoint, and it's a paved 13 miles. It's extremely easy. It's just an enjoyable feature to really showcase the Grand Canyon to as many people as possible, and it's a handicap accessible, which is really nice on top of that. But beyond all of that, it's really, really enjoyable to just get through the Rim Trail, and it's a great way to enjoy the park without the strenuous nature of going down. It's certainly a highlight for the vast majority of people that come to the park, especially in the South Rim Trail, which is the easiest part of the park to get to, which is why so many tourists go there. That's why so many people go to this. But those are two hikes that are incredibly rewarding experiences that are easily accessible to all hikers. And one is extremely, it's not flat, but generally flat with a low grade, very easy to get around. If you had elderly family or family that is injured or possibly even handicapped that really wants to go see the Grand Canyon, the Rim Trail is for you. It's beautiful, high points of return. It's great, great stuff. Whereas if you want a little bit more strenuous nature, but you don't want to go fully down into the canyon and be a crazy person that loves that, which I would love to do that one day, but unfortunately the trip we picked was not going to happen this time. It was very worthwhile to go down. The South Kaibab Trail is a phenomenal place to go. It's really, really enjoyable to get that as you go down. Now I'm just going to keep running some photos in the background so you can just see what we're always talking about here. But one of the coolest things for me going through was when you think of Grand Canyon, sometimes it's really easy to just go, oh yeah, it's Grand Canyon. Cool. And you do not understand how vast of a space you're actually going to see as part of the canyon. And it's incredibly fun to look at and see where you're really going. Now, to give you a perspective on how large the canyon really is without the photographs, but get you a map, we're going to go over here just to our quick map section. Okay? Grand Canyon National Park essentially runs half the width of the state of Arizona. Okay? You can see in this mini map, it's pretty much halfway, it's pretty much in the middle of Arizona, a little bit lower, and it runs all the way the width the rest of Arizona. So it's incredibly impressive to see how big it is. But when you go through, this is the South Rim, and it's very easy to get to and enjoy, which is why many, many people come to the South Rim. It's by far the most user-friendly. But one of the coolest parts that I found here was as we continue to zoom in on our map, it is incredibly interesting to see how many little points of interest we have along the South Rim, which also make it really friendly for bicyclists. Bicyclists, there we go, those are words. I was not expecting this much of a bike-friendly neighborhood and bike-friendly environment in the Grand Canyon. But yet the park has a lot of good points to bike through and get to very cool viewpoints on a bike, which is really, really fun. And then on top of it, I was flabbergasted to see we're attached to the Kebab National Forest. This whole section of the park is all forested, and it's something you're not expecting. So it's really fun to drive through the park, and you're getting this really nice, pretty forest. You may see elk, you may see deer, occasionally a javelina. Very cool wildlife can be in there, and yet out of nowhere you get close and you just see bam, you get hit with this viewpoint that you can't get anywhere else in the world. It is flabbergastingly cool, and it's a very unexpected feature to what we're doing in Grand Canyon National Park. Now, before we continue, I want to ask you guys, I love that you're supporting us here on this channel. Love that you're supporting us here with as many pieces of content as we do. But if you want to get a gift for yourself, to express yourself on the trail, maybe it's on your water bottle, maybe it's on yourself, who knows, I gotta ask you, you should head on over to our Etsy shop because you can get some really cool stuff over there to take on your trail, my friends. You can head on over to ptecreative.etsy.com. You can get all kinds of cool merch, all kinds of stuff that goes with the content that we provide here at PTE Creative. So we have plenty of Pokemon merch for those trainers that love to get out in the wild. Oh, by the way, take a really good photo of yourself using the Pokemon Go Buddy feature. It's really fun to give yourself that. But we've got travel stickers, we've got Pokemon stickers, we've got hoodies, we've got hats, we've got t-shirts, we've got all kinds of stuff to adorn your water bottle or adorn yourself traveling on the trail and really make yourself feel at home and express yourself while you're on the trail. You'd never imagine how many cool things you'll see on a trail, especially as popular as the Rim Trail or the South Kebab Trail. It's so much more fun to see yourself express and see what everyone else expresses themselves with on the trail. So go do that yourself by going to ptecreative.etsy.com. There you will get all kinds of fun merchandise. Take along your trails. Getting back into the show, now is the more tangible part of the show to try to help as many people as possible. Getting to the Grand Canyon is incredibly easy because there's so many ways to do it, but it's going to be a drive because it's out by itself. It's not like, unless you have a private plane or you have a lot of money to fly directly into Grand Canyon City, which is Tusayan, you can't just fly straight to the Grand Canyon. You need to have the means to get to a more regional or larger international airport. We ourselves flew into Las Vegas and we drove through Utah and down to the Grand Canyon, which I'm going to talk about bundling some parks together. Is a really good idea for you. However, the closest airport that you may be able to work with is Flagstaff, Arizona, which is about an hour and change, maybe an hour and a half max from the south rim of the Grand Canyon. But you can fly into Phoenix, you can fly into Vegas, and all are reasonable options to rent a car and go. It's really, really enjoyable. It's good stuff. While you're in the park, there are 7 lodges or hotels readily available in the park, and there are 3 campgrounds in the south rim. There's 2 in the north rim that are incredibly functional and easy. Some are seasonal, so do check it if you are a camper, but they're very easy to get to. And like I said before, Grand Canyon National Park is the most tourist-friendly national park I've ever been to. Grand Canyon National Park is number 24 of 63 for me, and I've thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. But I was flabbergasted how friendly and accessible it was. I knew it would be more accessible, I knew it would be more friendly. I didn't expect it to be as friendly as it was. Flabbergastingly to the point where you could have really good service until you went really far down into the canyon. So you had great cell service. There are plenty of restaurants, stores, general goods stores, the ice cream shops, all kinds of stuff to really make it friendly for you to go and enjoy your time at the park. But if you still want that more rugged, outdoorsy feel that a national park can give you, it's still very easy to get that because you just remove yourself from that kind of stuff on the Kebab Trail, on the Bright Angel Trail, things of that nature. The easiest way to do that, actually, though, is to go over. I'm going to the lodging section of Grand Canyon National Park here, and I'm going to show that right now. So, as we go to Grand Canyon National Park, oh, there it is. This is the South Rim bus shuttle and the South Rim route. You're going to come in on the south entrance road. If you can follow my cursor, hopefully, it's going to take you up this way. But there's all these different colored paths that you're going to meet up at Grand Canyon Visitor Center. The Rim Trail truly goes from the South Kebab Trailhead, and it follows the canyon all the way through to Hermit's Rest. It's incredibly cool. But you're going to start on a bus, most likely after you park at the visitor center. You use the blue route to get to your real big markets and your lodges, which is really easy. You can continue through that blue route, or we can go down to the orange route or the red routes. Those are going to be far more of your remote areas away from people, where you're going to get far more of that rugged, outdoorsy nature of the park. But again, there's so many good biking trails through here. There's so many different aspects of backcountry hiking as well. It's very, very enjoyable and cool. So again, it's incredibly friendly to get to see that in the parks, because many times you don't see that in parks. It's incredibly friendly to do that. Important reminders for you. 1, it's hot. It's hot. It's Arizona. It's hot. So, unless you're going in the dead of winter, where it's going to be a little bit more mild, you're going to get heat. It's just part of the adventure. That's part of the experience, especially as you go further into the canyon. Bring yourself a lot of water. Make sure you have sun protection. Make sure you have a good hat, sunscreen, sunglasses, all that good shit. You're going to need it. Shouldn't have said that one, but oh well, here we are. But you're going to need it if you're doing this. Also, another really cool and accessible feature to this park is how many good cities there are to lodge in that you don't have to be in the park. I love lodging outside of the park. It makes it feel more of an adventure and more accessible to making the park feel as this big remote adventure. for me. I love driving into the park and you leaving civilization behind. So Tusain, Grand Canyon City are very close. They're only about 5 to 10 minutes away from the gate. Incredibly easy to get to. But Williams, Arizona, which is about 35, 45 minutes away from Flagstaff, really nice little town, a little fun, a little kitschy. They're used to tourists, so it's a welcoming city. But they have breweries, they have all kinds of restaurants that are really fun and enjoyable. So I would highly recommend staying in Williams. It's really enjoyable. But for me, the most enjoyable part of the national parks is getting that nature and bundling it together with other parks. That's, I think, the beauty of everything of the national park systems. If you want to travel, bundle parks together so you can see as much of this country as you possibly can. And the Grand Canyon National Park is centrally located, there it is, to a bunch of cool things. So, basics here. If you want to get other national parks, in this trip alone, we did a lot of driving. Not saying it wouldn't include a lot of driving, but only a couple hours away, Bryce Canyon National Park, which is one of the most underrated parks in the National Park Service, in my opinion, which I absolutely adore. You can see Thor's hammer there. This is the view from Angel's Landing, which is one of the premier hikes in all the National Park Service, and that's at Zion National Park. Also home to the Narrows, another one of the most unique hikes you can ever take in your entire lifetime. This is all north of the Grand Canyon in Utah, but it's a very easy drive on down to the Grand Canyon. And then as you continue that drive down, you're going to go through Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, which includes the world famous Horseshoe Bend. And right nearby is Antelope Canyon. Now, this footage is from inside of the canyon where you're going to see some of the most beautiful, beautiful little landscapes you could ever see. That very narrow canyon, but it runs 60 miles. That's very interesting. Antelope Canyon is part of the Navajo National Reserve, though. So you do have to plan a little bit further ahead, but it's not hard at all, extremely well. And then this is actually a version of the world famous shot that's been on Microsoft for years now. But this photo, every tour guide will take it for you if you want them to. And this photo sold for over $2 million as a screensaver to Microsoft, so it's very fun to get that. And this shot and the last shot was all in Antelope Canyon. It's a very, very majestic place where your imagination can wander, to capture your imagination being. And this is about 2 hours away from the South Rim and about an hour north rim of the park. On top of that, you can get near Flagstaff, or you can get, this is Walnut Canyon. Took this photo while we were there a year ago and did Arizona in the winter. So we did Walnut Canyon, which is one of my favorites, but you're also close to Wapatki and Sunset Crater, which are both really cool national park sites that are extremely worthwhile to get to. And if you want to get a little bit more of that classic relaxation, good vibes vacation spot, you can head further south from the Grand Canyon, about an hour and a half to 2 hours south, is Sedona, Arizona. Sedona what the ironic part is, it used to be old Hollywood's playground. It used to be a really well kept secret, and now it's incredibly high end and sophisticated. But you can still have a really good time, even if you're not one of those people that loves all the high end things. And the biggest ironic part of it is how much fine dining and high quality food you can find, and high quality spas and all this kinds of stuff make it very vacationy. But yet you have points like this because Sedona has world class hiking near it. So these are all really, really cool national park sites or just nature areas that you can go to that are extremely readily accessible from Grand Canyon National Park that I would highly recommend going to. That is always my favorite part of making the trip, is seeing these beautiful, beautiful areas like you see on screen. But don't be afraid to go out and take that adventure. Remember, the world is not in your books and maps. It's out there. But if you need some more inspiration to go out there and enjoy yourself, to get your imagination going, I gotta say, go check out the rest of our content, man. We now have not just 5, 6 days a week, but Monday we got Pokemon card pack openings. Tuesday it's the flagship show, which we did cover some summer recs for hiking and for National Park Service stuff on that flagship show, but it's a rotational basis with a lot of good content coming out. The next episode is all of it. We're going back to our Super Smash Bros. Series, which is going to be really fun. Wednesday, you get some super cool Fakemon for the Fakemon region, which is inspired in part by the national parks and the beauty of the United States of America. You can see that on the Pokemon Bliss and Oblivion project every Wednesday here on the channel. Thursday, we're covering American football and the ONETA Football Show. We've got the great expansion project coming, which is going to be really fun for the NFL to see how that could look like in the future. And on Friday, you're already here in the ONETA Adventure Show, the big return here in July. You also get the ONETA Brick Builders Show, which is all about Lego building and other stuff. And you get a lot of cool rotational stuff like Pokemon card pack openings, Yu-Gi-Oh card pack openings, even a little Lorcana. And we're going to have a lot of specialty projects coming out in the next couple months as I'm soon to be done with my move and have so much more time to make great content for all you fine folk out there on the internet. And now every single Saturday is the ONETA Movie Show, which is a podcast always about our movies and our favorite things from back in the day, or new movies as well. Covering the biggest box office hits of every year, cult classics. We're going to rewrite some movies. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff there. It's going to be really exciting. That comes out every Saturday now. The first 2 episodes are already available. And then the next episode that's going to be fully out is going to be on July 20th. We're going to be covering The Exorcist in that one, which is really, really cool. But go check out all 3 of our podcasts and the rest of our shows. You can catch those over on YouTube or on Spotify, which is really, really cool for the podcasts. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a subscribe. Tell me how your experience went in the Grand Canyon, or if you thought maybe we should have covered something different, or another park that you want to see in the future. I'd love to get that commentary from everybody and enjoy it. And again, if you want to take something for yourself along the hike, along the trail, go to ptecreative.etsy.com. As always, I have been your host, Evan Davies. Thank you so much for watching. I love covering the national parks for you. I can't wait to do it again. Peace, love, and hugs. Bye!